are, who are a Finnish-based company. And I'll talk about them in just a little bit more detail in a moment. Okay, now we've stopped in a relatively good location here. So L14, which is just to the sort of 2 o'clock of the bus at the moment, a Turner's truck has arrived. So he swiped his card at the main gate, he's got a booking, he's been given a location to come to in the terminal, and he's been told that he's got to go to L14 to pick up his container. So that's what he's done. He's driven down here, he's then reversed into those bays you can see. So they are yellow lines, they've got light curtains across them for safety. And he reverses into there, he gets out of his truck, he swipes the computer base on the pedestal that you can see. That's it's got the perspex box and the beacon light on top of it. He swipes that, and that alerts the crane that he's arrived and that he's in position. Now if he's dropping off a container, so if a container's coming back from a distribution centre or wherever, he will have to undo that container from his truck. So he'll have to undo the twist lock. So he'll get out, he'll go all around the trailer, and he'll unfasten the container. If he doesn't do this, and it does happen on occasion, they forget, and then goes and tells the crane that he's here and ready, the crane doesn't stop. So the crane will come over, it'll pick up the container, and actually it'll pick up the trailer unit as well, and the truck at times. It's pretty rare, but it does happen. So they have to, the drivers have to be trained and operate this responsibly. So they have to have an induction, they have to know how to operate all of this machinery. So he'll undo the twist locks, and then the crane will take the container away. This crane is actually doing a little bit of housekeeping at the moment, so it's having to shuffle the containers around just a little bit to get to the container that this driver's come for. Once the crane has found his container and picked it up, which will be now, you'll see the flashing orange beacon light on the pedestal next to him will come on. He'll put his hard hat on, and he is just about to become a London Gateway celebrity with 70 faces watching him operate this machinery. So he'll get out. This container that's being delivered to his truck is a refrigerated container. So at some point in its stay here, that's been plugged into that big rack that you can see. And in the last few hours probably, that's been unplugged by a company called CLB Refrigeration Limited, so that when we pick that container up, we don't take the refrigerated stuff with us. So the container the crane comes over the top of the parking bays, and what it's doing now is using a very, very sophisticated laser and sensor system to line up the feet of the container, the 4 bottom corners of that container, with the trailer and the location of it. So it might be that the driver's trailer is within the yellow lines but is a little bit wonky, so that might take a little bit longer than usual. It's figured it out, and now it lowers the container down onto the trailer. There could be anything up to about 40 tons worth of refrigerated product, temperature controlled product, in that mare's container at the moment. So it lowers down, it checks that it's got its location. If there's a problem, if it's struggling to identify the location of the twist locks on the trailer so that it can be fastened on, then that job will be forwarded to a control room, and they will they sit in front of a bank of screens, and they're able to override the crane and manually, using cameras on all corners, guide the container down onto the trailer units. If the driver's got an immediate problem, or if he's not using the machinery properly, then we've got landside marshals who scurry up and down here in pickup trucks, and they're on hand to help hauliers if they've got any problems. But this driver seems to know what he's doing, which is always good. We do sometimes stop here and the drivers have got no idea, which from my PR point of view is always a bit frustrating. But this guy looks to know what he's doing. He's checking then that the container has been loaded on straight. He'll then press a button to let the crane know. The crane will release the container, or it won't. Yeah, so it's not landed on the pins on the trailer, so it's got to reconfigure and readjust. and that will have now been forwarded, that job, to the controllers, and the control room will be doing that manually. So that's done. Containers onto the back of the trailer, and off it goes. And there'll be another job waiting for that crane now. It looks like there's a couple of cassettes that have been left there by our terminal tractors. If you watch the turbo tractor now, that driver is going to swivel his chair 300 or 180 degrees. So at the moment he's facing backwards so that he can reverse in a bit more safely. Once he's ready to pull away, he'll swivel his chair 180 degrees and he'll drive away. He's probably not going to do it now. There he goes. That's done, and he pulls away. And then, just going back to our turner's truck, the driver is now going around and fastening the container to his trailer, and off he goes. So this operation is very, very different. This is very unique in the UK. There's no other port handling containers like this. Felixstowe are using what we call rubber-tired gantry cranes, which are driven by people, and so are Southampton. So they're driven by their team members. They're quite high, and they'll manually load cranes using those pieces of machinery, similar to machinery we've got on the other side, which I'll show you shortly. This operation, though, allows us to be a little bit more efficient. So we're currently turning trucks around on average in 40 minutes. And trucks are a little bit like Ryanair aircraft. They don't want to be parked up at bays for too long waiting to be serviced. They want to be on their way, because that's when they're making money, that's when they're moving. It's the same with ships, to be honest, which is why we're under pressure to load and unload vessels as fast as we possibly can. Same applies with trucks and trains. So this system we operate allows us to be a little bit more effective in that sense. It allows us to stack containers higher as well and store them higher, so we can store more containers in a smaller yard space, because we've got the capability to do it with the cranes, and it's also safer. So this operation will remain open throughout the winter now, whereas because of the systems that other ports employ, they're not able to stay open because of the wind and wind knocking down containers. This is completely safe because we've not got drivers interacting with containers at any point. The robot cranes are scurrying up along these tracks at about 7 meters a second, picking up these containers, and it's all just safer, and it's far more effective. Obviously there's an awful lot of data being held in by our computer and a lot of software that manages these cranes. We're yet to sort of get 100% reliability on that. The technology is obviously extremely sophisticated, extremely complex. There could be one small glitch and it can cause the whole thing to shut down. By and large, it's very reliable and pretty good, but obviously we've got a little bit of work to do in that sense, but we're on it, and we're improving our reliability the whole time. So this is landside, loading and unloading trucks and trains, and making sure they can get in and out of the port as efficiently and as quickly and as safely as possible. Safety is obviously really important. What we're going to do now is we're going to head round to shipside, and we're going to see some of the ships that are in action.
No, that's what I thought. He's late.